One of the more intriguing names amongst the Minnesota Vikings, all signed now, by the way, 2022 rookie draft class, was second-round pick cornerback Andrew Booth Jr. He was a prize recruit coming out of Clemson, 2-year starter for the Tigers, and he fell to number 42 overall in the draft in the second round, mainly due to medical issues, but a large consensus is that he has first-round talent. Now, he had double hernia surgery in the offseason, kept him out of offseason drills and mandatory minicamp and OTAs, but he's revved up, ready to go. He's inked up, and he's ready to hit the ground running in training camp. And the Vikings could finally realize that they have, potentially one of the greatest values in the 2022 draft. And ESPN, NFL Nation writer Kevin Seifert, who is not Carl Gerbschmidt, he seems to think so too, as NFL Nation put together NFL training camp previews for all 32 teams, predictions, fantasy battles, and players to watch, etc. And Seifert went hard in the paint on Andrew Booth Jr. This is what he predicted. Rookie cornerback Andrew Booth Jr. will emerge as a starter. The Vikings have been raving about Booth since trading up to draft him in the second round, and he joins a position group that is ripe for newcomers. Strictly from a skill and playmaking perspective, Booth was among the best quarterbacks in the draft. His injury history pushed him into the second round, but he believes that surgery to repair a hernia in March has put him on the road to permanent recovery. If that's the case and he goes through training camp healthy, he'll prove good enough to start opposite Patrick Peterson, or at least or at very least in the nickel package that the Vikings will use frequently. Now, not talking about the surgery where it's like, oh, well, he's coming off of surgery. How good can he be? The problem, well, not really the problem, but the thing about him at Clemson is that he could have had the surgery, but he was so dedicated to his team. He wanted to stay on the field. He wanted to battle with his guys, and he's just not a guy who quits. That's not in his DNA, and that's what's great about Booth, is that he was renowned for his work ethic. He was renowned for putting the team first, and so sometimes that puts his health first. And in his scouting reports, it came off as a negative, where he was never truly healthy at Clemson. That's why he never really panned out on that five-star recruit hype, right? But the thing is, like, that's not a demerit. I want a guy who would just give himself up for the team, who wants to help his team no matter what, as opposed to anyone who just gets a scratch. Is, oh, we're going on IR. Now, that sort of toughness can work against him, as seen by his draft status, because of his need for surgery. But I think that now that the surgery happened, and hopefully that means that he's going to be good to go long term, I think that the Vikings will absolutely reap the rewards here. And I think Booth Jr. Is coming into a fantastic situation where. So Seifert talked about, I don't think it'll be so much taking Cameron Dantzler's spot to start opposite of Patrick Peterson. I think that it would be taking Peterson's spot, because I do think that Cameron Tiny Dantzler played fantastic towards the end of last season. I think that him in year 3, another year older, another year wiser, another year, well, actually, a first year where he's not dealing with the BS that was Brashad Breeland and Mac Alexander. Well, not so much Mac, because Mac was playing in the slot, but also Mike Zimmer, etc. So starting fresh, I think Dantzler does have the talent in year 3. He's bulked up a little bit. I think that he will be a starter for the Vikings. Now with Peterson, he was fantastic last year in spurts, playing one side of the field. He's not traveling anymore like he did back in the day. Aside from that groin injury, I do think that P squared played extremely well, given his age and circumstances last year. But is he going to be that guy who's out there every single snap? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I do think that Dantzler will be a starter, and if Booth Jr. gets into the starting lineup, could it be as rotational guy opposite of Cameron Dantzler coming in for Patrick Peterson? Maybe Peterson plays a little bit more situationally. Maybe it is a spot where we've talked about ad nauseum. I do think that Booth could have the skill set to play from the slot. So, like Seifert alluded to, could it be a spot where Booth comes in and nickel, works in the slot, or works in the outside? Could be a little bit of that as well. Plus, I'm really high on Caleb Evans long term, so I do think somehow, some way, someone will work in the slot. But a trio, alkaline trio, shaking like a doll, razor blades of Dantzler and Booth and Evans working together in that secondary. Baby, we got a stew going. We do. But either way, I'm happy to see Andrew Booth Jr. get a little bit of hype from the national media outlets. Seifert's been dialed in with the Vikings for a decade plus, and he's a guy who knows that team in and out. So he knows what Booth Jr. could bring to the team, and I'm excited to see what he can actually do since he's going to be on the field at training camp. But that's it. ESPN predicts that rookie second-round cornerback Andrew Booth Jr. will start coming out of training camp. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.